Yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Christmas is one of my favorite times of year. In fact, it's one that's very widely celebrated in our house to the point that people compare this house to the Chevy Chase house of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It is a time of year where we want to be with family, with friends, we want to reflect. And while things are very tough this year in this country, whether it's inflation, the carbon tax, your employment status, people are having a tough go. Last year, we put out a rendition through other friends that I've met since this wonderful journey took off, as well as those who are connected in the political community, to do a rendition of my best-selling book, How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom. With that being said, before we get into the goods of this video, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind everybody, I know shameless plug, people are sick of the plugs, guys, I'm going to get off of them soon. I want you to save some money, and it's going to a good cause. Let's remind everybody, if you head over to our links down below over on our Amazon page, the book that is being featured in this video, How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom, How the Prime Minister Broke Canada, Just Axe the Tax, One Face, Two Face, Black Face, Blue Face, Hold the Line, The Ballad of Tamara Leach, all of our books right now, all purchases that are made currently until December 21st, the entire proceeds are going to help veterans in need. It's a great program that helps with hampers for those that are less fortunate this time of year. We always try to do something charitable at Christmas. This is our way of giving back this year. So if you want to pick up some great Christmas gifts, head over there and grab those. Also, until the 15th of December, keep in mind all of our merchandise on our shop button below. You can hit the shop button. There will be a link in the description. We have our new Canada First designs as well as Maple MAGA. We've got a lot of cool slogan shirts as well as unacceptable fringe merchandise in our shop down below. Again, a large portion of those proceeds, again, everything we can afford to donate will be going to veterans from that shop. So if you want to get yourself something nice for Christmas, go ahead to do that. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I have a gift for you, the viewer. This is our rendition once again. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. And without further ado, I give you How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom. In the city of Ottawa, on Parliament Hill, the Canadian government debate and pass bills. Everyone in Canada liked freedom a lot, but the Prime Minister, who lived on the Hill, did not.
He hated it all, even the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Please don't ask why. We don't know the reason. There's no explanation that started it all. But maybe that his brain was 3 sizes too small.
He stood at his window looking down at the town, sipping his cardboard juice box, water bottle sort of thing with a frown. People kind, he muttered. They think they are free, but what they don't realize is they work for me. My accounts are in need of filling, and I have just the excuse I need. A new virus is spreading called COVID-19.
It turns out the virus was spreading very quick. The people were frightened and got very sick. The Prime Minister held a conference with every news station as he pitched his plan to the rest of the nation.
We need to adapt to a new set of rules. We will start by saying that we'll close the schools. Speaking moistly spreads germs, and since that's the case, we'll simply give you this mask to cover your face. Everything closes except big box stores. We really just need you all staying indoors. We need to keep everyone safe. This is not to be mean. Just stay in your house until we find a vaccine. The public obeyed and followed the rules until the government showed that they took them for fools. Some didn't wear masks during their conversations, and some even went on lavish vacations. For months, the feds handed out cash and donations, which triggered a bad thing that we call inflation.
The Prime Minister continued on his spending spree until Big Pharma announced a new COVID vaccine. He assembled his cabinet in a secretive meeting, but his colleagues gave him an unwelcome greeting.
Your leadership is tainted with elitist disgrace as you dance like a fool and dress up in blackface. Our polls are now dropping from lockdowns and fear. You need a new plan, and it needs to be clear.
Everyone be calm and please hear my pitch, for I am about to make all of you rich. A vaccine's been announced, and now you will see everyone in the country will listen to me. We've locked them down tight from each other for ages, and I've carefully reduced their freedoms in stages. We'll tell them the science is right on our side, and to get their lives back, they simply comply. And how do you think the profits are driven? We own the patent for every jab given. And what will we do if they try to resist? We will label them all racist misogynists. And when they get their shot and think this is all done, we'll just shift the rules and up it by 1. We can say that it's mutated 3 times a year, and push boosters annually to drive up the fear.
The cabinet smiled as they all agreed the Prime Minister's plan was sure to succeed. The government pushed mandates with all of their might as people labeled each other and began to fight. Protests on both sides as to which side was right, all the hatred and division had no end in sight.
Food prices shot up as wages stayed low, and energy costs continued to grow. And housing it bubbled. Students couldn't make rent, so they continued to live in their parents' basement. Many people were fired or took daily swabs for refusing the vaccine over their jobs, until one day the tide had started to turn. An assistant approached, looking very concerned.
Sir, the truckers are furious with mandates and rules. They claim that we are the ones that are fools. They say that we ignored their requests and their rights, and that they will continue to protest with no end in sight. They're driving their trucks here. They're already deployed, and some are now calling it a freedom convoy.
The Prime Minister sneered and laughed, deep in his throat. He composed himself, and then he started to glow.
My dear assistant, listen to me. These truckers are a small fringe minority. We can make them look awful. The people listen to me. We run this show, for I am science, you see. We'll make them look terrible. That, and they'll turn around, and no single protester will be left to be found. From coast to coast, the truckers drove through the snow, and their small fringe numbers continued to grow. Then one day a trucker appeared in the town, with thousands behind them from miles around.
They filled every street as a big honking team. As the Prime Minister claimed, I have COVID-19. I really must go. I'm infectious, you see, and spend a week under quarantine. For days, the Prime Minister hid in his home, but the truckers refused to leave him alone.
I simply don't get it. I don't get it one bit. The truckers won't leave. They continue to sit. They've blown bouncy houses and barbecues in the streets. Why won't they simply admit their defeat? Dance parties, horn honky as flags waved to and fro. These horrible truckers, they just have to go. As the days went on, it continued to grow as the Prime Minister cursed them and said to go home. But the truckers refused. They continued to stand for everyone's rights to return to the land.
Then one day, the Prime Minister answered back with aggression and held an emergency cabinet session. And if you asked the people in Parliament, they'd say that his brain shrunk 3 sizes that day. The protests must stop. They make me look bad, so I am invoking the Emergencies Act. Their voices and support continued to mount, so we'll pull their funding and freeze bank accounts. It's only for a short time, and I have a good reason. The people are supporting terrorism and treason. We will remove all the protesters with fines or by force, but only if they refuse to leave here, of course. Their numbers grow with each passing hour. So I'll bestow cops with increase in power.
The protesters stayed despite all their warnings until the hordes of police arrived the next morning. The police were told that the force was approved before the police charged and started to move. They pushed people back, crushed old ladies with horses, and even shot tear gas at independent reporters. The Prime Minister smiled as he looked down on the town, at the people fleeing and scurrying around. Their truck windows will be smashed and then towed away, while we rack up impound charges and fines they can pay. And when this is done, the people will know that I am their freedom and I'm in control.
The truckers all left on foot or in cuffs as the police came in and took all their stuff. The Prime Minister was sure his plan would succeed. That is until Parliament began to proceed. The Prime Minister sat with a smug look on his face until the opposition stood and put him in his place.
Mr. Prime Minister, please listen to me. Our country isn't a dictatorship, it's a democracy. You cannot silence people for being too proud, or waving their flags, or being too loud, for standing in support of their fellow man, or telling them their freedom is going to be banned. So listen to me and make no mistake, their freedom was something you simply can't take. It isn't physical like a truck or a bus. Our freedom resides in each one of us. Our Charter of Rights and Freedom stand true and cannot be undone, even by you. Your actions have caused us all great offense, so today I call for a vote of no confidence.
The Prime Minister jumped. "You can't do this to me." But the motion was granted and allowed to proceed. The votes came in and the Prime Minister was out, as he was escorted outside while he continued to shout. "Welcome back freedom for one and for all. Welcome back freedom for the tall and the small. Home of the true north, the strong and the free, and the red and white flag with a red maple leaf." I love this book. When I was asked to pick a great Canadian book to recommend, I was really stumped for a while. I read so many great Canadian books that I've loved that picking one was going to be really, really difficult. Except when I realized that if I went back to the first Canadian book, first Canadian story that I really loved, How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom, came immediately to mind. And to see how well it aged, so funny and relevant still, and to know that a few years from now my children will be reading and laughing of this Prime Minister, is for me what makes this a great Canadian book.
Hello, Derek. This is your friend, Elon. I just wanted to congratulate you on all your successes with the unacceptable Fringe. As you know, I read your first book, How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom, and all your other books, and I love your style. And, as you asked me, I called Jeff Bezos and he told me he made sure that everyone could buy your books easily on Amazon. I've also updated your website, unacceptablefringebooks.com, so people can buy your books there too. By the way, my aerospace specialists are still analyzing the feasibility of your project to send Justin Trudeau into the sun. I know you'd like it to happen quickly.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go into the sun.
Shut up. Go back in your cage. He never listens. Anyway, goodbye, my friend, and let me know if you need anything. You have my number.